All right. So conceptual floor plan, words of importance, evidence-based design, programming, square footage, occupancy, and vendors. And then we'll be focusing on reading Chapter 5, Designs Basics. In the book, they talk about EBD, which is evidence-based design. In weeks 1 and 2, we focused on our client profiles and design concepts. We used programming tools such as adjacencies matrices, bubble diagrams, and block plans to forward our evidence-based designs. Evidence-based design is a nice, concise way of talking about how we approach each project and really all of our environmental design work. On page 29, it explains this very well. It really lays out the importance of quality research. It says a bunch of information, but I pulled one part of the quote and I will read the rest of it. It says EBD relates to the value of design as a contributor to society as well as aesthetic value. This will require multidisciplinary collaboration and sharing, developing research-savvy professionals who can develop and use knowledge bases begins with design education. So let's see, going back to page 29, and I have the book in front of me. It really starts chapter 5 with a whole paragraph of information on evidence-based design. It says evidence-based design is an approach to design that seeks to create better design outcomes by basing decisions on credible research. It adds knowledge from many sources, including the computational, social, and natural sciences, to individual experience and intuition. EBD goes beyond the analysis of specific projects and increases the designer's ability to predict the effects of design decisions. Clients and communities who are responsible for allocating resources are demanding to know how design decisions will affect the performance of buildings. Design professionals are under increasing pressure to demonstrate how their work will positively influence human well-being and effectiveness and support the health of the planet. Then it reads the little quote that I have up there on the screen, and after that it says, the development of evidence-based design will require the establishment of clear and accepted standards and guidelines about what constitutes credible evidence. In order to achieve these ends, the design professions must develop research standards and protocols that will develop, apply, and disseminate evidence-based research. But I really liked, it's kind of the buzzword for everything that we're doing in this class, thinking of it as evidence-based design. And it does go on to lay out in Design Basics the exact step-by-step procedure that you would use in contract design, starting with looking at building codes and using that within your project programming, and then going on to talk about the contracted documents that you would have. And there's lots of pages on contracted documents, and then computing technologies. Some of the stuff that we're going to focus on, jumping forward, is moving from our block diagrams into the actual conceptual floor plan. So I said programming and evidence-based design. At this point in the process, your programming is becoming more and more realistic. You followed the programming process laid out on page 33, where it does give you the step-by-step talking about how your research has now applied to making your blocks use the information and analysis and documentation appropriate to lay out space a little bit better. So information gathering, which involves research, listening, learning about the client's needs, so our client profiles, analyzing and synthesizing, which involves consolidating the acquired information for a full understanding of the client's program or problems, needs, options, and potential costs, as well as proposing options and making recommendations. So you guys did all of this already in your concepts. And documentation and validation, which involves documenting the findings and recommendations with the clients, then getting feedback, modifying the program, and reissuing the program document. So really, for us, we don't do the complete set of documents, although we will have like the drawing set. It's not the complete documentation that goes with contract furniture. It'd just be too much. But for us, it's just revising the client profile and concept after we review it within a critique multiple times. So I wanted to talk about occupancy and exiting and how it comes into programming once we're transitioning from block plans and bubble diagrams into a conceptual floor plan. I said in week 3 we begin to create our conceptual floor plan. If all has gone well, it should be a small modification of our block plans. We should simply be framing in our programming using whatever software or hand drafting is available. One thing that we need to start getting even more specific and intentional about is knowing how much/many things can fit in the space, specifically as it pertains to furniture and people. Building code review and check is not on the calendar for a couple more weeks, but should always be on your mind. Once you start placing walls and doors, you are working within the realm of building codes. On pages 29 through 33, you are given a brief overview of the building codes pertaining to occupancy and exiting. Use these codes and check them against your conceptual floor plan. Although we are not architects, it is important for these projects in which we are placing walls that we know at least the basic exiting and occupancy codes. The jury will be checking that these were adhered to. Use the occupancy classification chart on page 30 to figure out your assigned letter that correlates with each code. And I said, even though we are still in the conceptual stage, if you have questionably long lengths of travel to an exit, you will be asked to provide measurements for those paths. All right. So 29 through 33, there were some things that I just wanted to read out loud. I know you can do that on your own, but really I think if we do it together, then it just helps solidify that in your mind a little bit and think about it, Katie, since you're in class today and how it relates to your projects. Some things that I found specifically, let's say for your project, exit through intervening spaces. That's on page 32 in the upper right-hand corner. Egress paths may pass through an adjoining room or area if it is accessory to the area served and it is not high hazard occupancy and provides a discernible path to travel to an exit. Egress paths in commercial spaces may not pass through kitchens, storerooms, closets, or spaces used for similar purposes, nor may they pass through rooms that can be locked to prevent egress. So where I saw that being an issue in your project is if you define that space that you're passing from the lounge area on the second floor through a storage area into your cigar lounge, that wouldn't be allowed if you actually qualify it as being a storage area.
Okay.
Which is, I think we talked about at the end of our time last week, I asked for a possible layout where you're just going through the one door to get out to the lounge area, kind of, or maybe a vestibule area, and then the storage attaches to that. That would be my recommendation to you to fix that.
Okay. I have that we can look at.
Perfect. So travel distance, which is on page 33, because exit access areas are not protected, the code limits how far someone must travel to safety. Exit access travel distance is the distance that an occupant must travel from the most remote point in the occupied portions of the exit access to the entrance of the nearest exit. Maximum travel distances are based on the occupancy of the building, whether the building is sprinklered. So they always give the 2 within the diagram that's shown below 5.15. There's a without sprinkler and then there's a with sprinkler. So for our project, it's as easy as saying my building is sprinklered, and then in your reflected ceiling plan, you would show your sprinkler heads every, I believe it's 8 to 16 feet, but it depends on the space. So easily you can add footage there if you do have some of those longer lengths. Travel distance is measured in a straight line from the most remote point through doorways unless furniture or equipment requires measurement along the actual path of travel. When the path of travel includes an unenclosed stairways, the distance is measured along a plane parallel and tangent to the stair tread nosings in the center of the stairway. So that's just a lot of information which doesn't necessarily apply. The furniture will eventually apply. You can see on page 32 in the bottom left-hand corner, they show a layout which won't pertain to each of yours, but it gives you an idea of what it looks like a space with furniture and how that can affect the egress travel. So you have to start from the way bottom corners and then factor in the footage to kind of turn a corner around some of those furniture pieces and then go out the straight line of access to the door. So as you're adding furniture or changing your layouts, you need to be considering if that's affecting your egress travel path in any way and add that to the footage that's required. Okay. Part of your conceptual floor plan will involve roughing in some furniture concepts. Space is so vague until furniture is added, giving it a true sense of scale. In the contract design field, you would most likely bid out your furniture package. On page 34, it talks about the FF&E contractor's role. Outside of what the book explains, it's good to know and familiarize yourself with common manufacturers for contract furniture. Each dealer will have different manufacturers, vendors that it represents, and can get discounts with. There are thousands of options for contract furniture items. It's important to know what makes the furniture good quality and the vendor reliable. Below I've listed some of the many contract furniture vendors you could encounter in the field. Feel free to visit their websites and explore. So Hahn, Allsteel, Herman Miller, they mainly deal those three and even Steelcase in systems furniture, so that is cubicles and more office related furniture, although they've really diversified themselves. So for instance, Herman Miller is really well known for their classics furniture, such as the Ames Lounge and different statement pieces that can be really used in any environment with the right fabrics and materials applied to them. They could be leather or vinyl or have some type of coating. So if you want to use that as a statement piece within a project, it's definitely an option for that. All of those companies, on top of doing things with offices, usually an office does have within it a cafe now, a lounge area, some type of training room. So there's tons of table options and chair options that suit those needs as well. So even if you go initially to a website, you might think, okay, it's purely office furniture. Go ahead and dig a little deeper because there's plenty of other types of furniture to be had from each of these manufacturers. Luminaire is something, it's just one of my personal favorites and a resource that I like to share. It's not great for design on a dime, but if you ever go to Chicago, it's a store that you're allowed to go in as a normal person. You don't, it's not like the Mart where you have to have an appointment set up, but they deal with high-end manufacturers of lighting and really outstanding furniture designers, so like Patricia Urugula, who I said is one of my favorites. It's more artistic furniture. They also have a lot of super high-end kitchen and bath goods. So it's a fun one to go and visit. And then right across the street from that are a ton of art galleries. So if you're planning a date, it might be something that you want to stop by and do. Falcon products and Safeco are a little bit more affordable options, and they have everything, every type of seating and tables and desking that you could expect to find with Hahn, Allsteel, Herman Miller, and Steelcase. Carson's Hospitality, and I'll show you the difference, and you can kind of get a difference or know the difference between these manufacturers just by looking at the starting page of their website and their branding on who they're trying to sell to and what they're supplying. Carson's Hospitality was something we didn't deal a lot in. So my background, I worked in and mostly with FF&E. I would be considered part of an FF&E contract group. We were a furniture dealer and we worked with all of the below and many other manufacturers of furniture. So when I'll go on to read on 34 and 35, kind of our responsibilities, you would come into our showroom. I'm talking about a bid package. In large situations, especially for both of you, how big the size of your buildings are, you would not want to be responsible in reality for going out and picking every single piece of furniture and pricing that out and comparing what is more expensive versus what's more affordable. What you would do is take your design inspiration photos as closely as you could with some of the manufacturers, so maybe Herman Miller Steelcase or Carson's, and you would lay out, I need a table that is 48 inches wide by this high. I need a chair that's this and serves this purpose in this kind of style. If you have a photo of what you're thinking, you would supply them with that. And then you would find all of the different contractors in your area. So in ours, there's two major ones, but you can certainly go out of the state as well when you have large projects like that. And you'd give them a packet of what you're looking for, and then you could give them the price point if you want to, or if you really want to make them work, which people do all the time, you can let them go in with their highest, best, and most, and then say, okay, sorry, that was way too expensive. Could you give me another option? You also have the option of just going in and saying, I want good, better, best. Give me low budget all the way to high budget, and then they'll give you 3 packages with all of the furniture and actual items that you can use. And by going through those contractors, you can use their discounts for large projects. So where you might be sending usually $300 on a table, you could end up getting each table for $100 after you factor in their markup for going through the contractors. So it's just a different way to think about furniture than residential. And I did want to go ahead and look at a few of these websites side by side. So let's see. I have on the other page even more Arcadia, JSI, Grand Rapids Chair. So let's look at, I think I have JSI open in the background. Okay, so Jasper Group brand. Jasper is an Indiana business. All their furniture is made in Indiana. But you can tell from the front page that they're definitely advertising more towards the office side and collaborative interaction within the office environment. So I can go to seating and I can go to guest. So usually these are guest chairs that would be used within an office. And feel free to think outside of the box. I know that Katie, yours is a little bit different, so it lends itself to more traditional types of chairs within your offices. But if you do have a more contemporary layout, or even within some of the lounge areas, to use things like ottomans or pull-up stools, things on wheels are becoming much more popular now. Do be thinking, though, if things are on wheels, of the options of casters. There's so many options. I wish I could talk to you, and maybe I will when we get into furniture a little bit more in the future. Just looking at this ottoman and pulling up the specs for it and seeing that within this there's 5 options for just the caster. Is it for carpet? Is it for carpet and solid surface? Is it for both? Is it for just solid surface? Do you want it to be locking? Do you want it to be rubber? So there's so many things. That's just a caster, and then there's so many things involved within wrapping this ottoman with a fabric. It's never as easy as saying, okay, we come into the design lab sometimes or out in the field even with our own libraries. I had libraries of tons of fabric manufacturers, and I'd pick the one that I loved, and then I would go on this website and I would find the list of actual approved fabrics from manufacturers, and it wasn't on there. So it's a lot of drilling down through and finding all the information on an item, which will be in the future. I'm going to get pretty tangential. I find that in teaching this class, it's hard for me to stay on track because I love it. Well, I love contract design, so there's just too much to talk about almost. But here's JSI. Now here's towards the office side, but very easily, if we go back to the initial page and we do products and Gosh, I hate menus like this, by the way. Lounge. All of these are multifunctional pieces of lounge furniture that could be used in hospitality, in the entranceway, for your restaurant. Again, more traditional, so a little bit difficult, but it could depend on the tufting or how you use the furniture. Or they could be used within a breakout area for your community center, but it's not limited to one field. Same things with tables. Tables are tables, so they can be used for hospitality. It just depends on the surface that's involved, if it's high pressure laminate or not high pressure laminate. So we could go into meeting, and there's all types of cool tables. You could have glass or wood, contemporary or traditional. And then also incorporating technology within tables is big and might be more useful within a community center. So that might be something to look at as you get to the furniture too. Does it have plug-in capabilities for USBs? And where is my market headed with incorporating that technology? But even here's some booth seating. Okay, now I'm going to pull up, let's see, let me go to Google for this one. Carson's Hospitality. It has a much different feel. You can tell that they're advertising towards hospitality, hotel areas, and restaurants. But over here we see that they also have a whole section for senior living, retail environments, and then they have all of this extra information in textiles and finishes. So if I go into hospitality, I can see banquettes. This is one company that's much more useful to you, Katie, as opposed to a Han, because this is kind of their bread and butter, is doing more traditional booth seating. But they do have all the options of all the contract materials that we would use with some of those bigger manufacturers like a Han or an All Steel or Herman Miller. And I've experienced it, and it's pretty good quality in the end. You never know until you actually order the furniture seeing something online. So let's see, dining and bar seating, something that both of you have in your projects. You can do it. There we go. So a ton of options. Another vendor, once you get outside of these where they have set designs and this is what they sell, and they don't do a lot of custom. It's buy this shape of a chair with the legs in this style and then pick from 50 fabrics or supply your own customer's material. There's other companies, and if you're thinking about globalization, depends on the area, but for instance in Indiana and Michigan, Grand Rapids Chair Company is one that I use a lot. And they can do anything custom. If you send them a sketch, they almost have every type of basic seating outline that you would want available as an initial idea. I mean, just within here, do you want it to have a partial back, a 3/4 back? Do you want it to have legs with the actual footrest? Do you want it to be more rounded? So they start with a similar line or family of goods, and then you could say, well, I want this, but I want to have the leg from the Atlantis bar stool on this chair, and they could customize it. And you could, but they are someone who gets all of their materials and supplies from Grand Rapids area and also from Indiana. So it's good to use manufacturers that aren't outsourcing their products and that can do custom furniture and work with you to do it. But just hundreds and hundreds of options. So another good resource for both of you. I've seen them do almost anything. All right, let me see if I can pick one more of my favorites from the list. Safeco. I think Arcadia is another one that would be good for both of you. And they all vary in the size of the company as well. Let's see, Arcadia contract. And sometimes you'll have dual companies, like Arcadia and Encore work together, and Arcadia is kind of the higher end lounge products. But there are some awesome products available for kind of out of the box. You could use this within a restaurant for privacy instead of having built walls, and then that gives them the ability to move it as they see fit. It also has electronic ports that you can incorporate into the sides and into the tables. But here you have that added privacy again. You can line the walls and create continuity with fabrics. How long has it been, or have you ever been able to go to NeoCon, Katie?
I have not been able to go.
Had they offered it at all when you were going here?
You know, maybe once. I mean, maybe once, but I don't think it ever like went through that they actually went.
Yeah, I missed it this year. It was just, I think, 2 weekends ago or last weekend, but I would like to. I know it runs in the summer, but it's definitely worth the trip. And everyone that goes through the design department, I feel, should at least be able to do it once in their career here. Or even if you graduate and it's something that you would want to do at some point. Hopefully I can get that implemented. Another trend, more for, I'd say, the community center for Sioux, would be thinking about tablet arms and cup holders in some of those open areas. A lot of people just do plain lounge chairs and tables, but we're going to have a lot of kids or people who are coming and going to do outside work. Tablet arms are all the rage. And then you have to think about handedness, and not everybody's right-handed. Some of us are left-handed like me, so all of the little tiny details that go into a good project but are available to you now in the furniture market. Again, casters, no casters, how much mobility do you need within a space? Can you use the space for dual purposes? So lots and lots of options. Tandem seating, this is more like an entry waiting area and more of healthcare. But for your offices, there's tons of executive seating, and any of the websites I've supplied have a really great ergonomic seating. Obviously, guys, no, maybe not so obviously. Herman Miller and Steelcase will have the best ergonomic seating of any of the ones that I've listed. But it depends on your price point. You know, if it's just an office for some guy running a bar and he's not concerned about being there all day, then you might think about price point over any type of seating ergonomics. And everyone has tables. Oh, one that I left out, that's a great one, is National Office Furniture. And they're a good one for hospitality tables as well. National Office Furniture. They're good for inspirational photos. And sometimes too, just go through people's websites if you're not planning on using their products, but just to look at good spaces. They have changed their website since I quit working. It's beautiful. All right, let's see. Tables. And there's so many options within just tables with bases and thinking about if you wanted satin nickel or polished aluminum or metallic bronze. Thinking about if it's a cylinder base that you have to weigh it down to sand and plan for that in your installation. All types of weird things that go along with all of this stuff. But they do great. Entryway tables for hospitality. And then a lot of times you won't see the photos of the everyday tables, but most manufacturers do offer just the 48 by 48 in any of their finishes with some type of metal base for hospitality. So this is another great one that you can use to look at. Don't want to get too much on furniture. I did want to read a little bit about FF&E and talk about how it does pertain to the conceptual floor plan, which is really the point of this slide. I said these are a great resource for typical furniture layouts and concepts. They also provide blocks that you can use in AutoCAD, SketchUp, and Revit. If someone was going to hand draft, they could print just the blocks in AutoCAD to scale of the drafted core and trace them. Then they would take their tracings and use them as templates. On top of 2D blocks, they also supply 3D. Use the resources available to you wisely. Work smarter, not harder. I know the next one is hard for some people, and by some people, Katie, I mean you, because you're using uh, Chief Architect, but it's just something to think about, and I don't know what's available in Chief Architect, so maybe they do have stuff. I'd assume not, but a lot of rendering programs have their own sets of blocks available. Be sure that these match the reality of your furniture specs closely enough that the jury doesn't think you're trying to pull one over on them, and always try to pull on the actual item before you settle for a distant cousin. So that I always say work harder or work smarter, not harder. If I go to, for instance, Herman Miller, and I always go through Google because there's so many options for these, some that are, for instance, their store version and some that are the actual contract furniture. But let's see. hermanmiller.com, design resources, and then you'll notice I have images for inspiration, 3D models for Revit, living office design solutions, typicals. So typical will be typical furniture layouts. If I click on typicals, they give me two options. Now Herman Miller does the living office, which is them breaking the office up and making it more open design concept and adding a lot more lounge areas and coffee bars and things like that. But you could be using this in a community center or even in a restaurant for your different lounge seating to look at good layouts for lounge seating. So, or just different ways to use stuff. Do you want to have screens of any type? Can you layer your seating so there's some type of quality of these people behind, you're utilizing space better. We have a lower bench seating in front of a bar seating so these people can see the screens while these people are also lounging and watching the screen, and that way you're filling the space up more and causing traffic to flow better throughout. It has circulation throughout the whole thing instead of cornering it off with a sofa here, and really only having one tier of seating. But once I find something, so if I click group settings, I keep drilling down through, I find something I want to use, then I can do a download and it gives me all of these options. Revit, SIF, drawing 3D, drawing 2D, those would be AutoCAD drawings, and SketchUp, option A and option B. Each of these has an option A and an option B. You can click the option B to see the difference. So over here they just put an ottoman, although I don't know whoever would just sit on an ottoman like that in any type of space setting, maybe if it was for kids. But then you can go through and you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, it's automatically downloading my furniture. And then when I click on it, it opens, and it should open up with SketchUp, which is already loaded on the computer, blah, blah. It might not, because I think they have some licensing issues here at Ivy Tech. But I click agree, continue. It's probably going to tell me I need to buy it. Okay, start using. And it should be the first thing that opens up in the program. And even if you're not using SketchUp, some people will hand render. I know, Katie, you're probably going to use Chief, but if there's ever something you can't do and you can find pieces of furniture through one of these vendors, you can turn this however you want it to be, and then you could print it and use this to trace over to create a perspective that's pretty unique. The same with some of that Arcadia booth seating where it has the privacy. If it's similar to something you have but you don't have the time to build that in Chief Architect or figure that out, you could build everything else in Chief Architect and then kind of print this to scale and trace it in or add it into your rendering. So there's just different ways to use tools, even if you're not super familiar with the programs, where you don't have to change a lot. And furniture within SketchUp is easy to change and move, and then that way I can move it all at once, or I should be able to move individual pieces. So you're like, hey, I only want this table. I'm going to delete out everything else. And I'm just hitting the delete key, which is pretty intuitive. So that way you have tools to use for perspective drawings if you ever get stuck. But the whole thing is using manufacturers that actually exist and you have easy access to and match your specs completely. It saves you from having to modify things within other rendering programs like a Chief Architect. Then you could just use the exact table, but that does require that you know some type of software. I could do the same thing in AutoCAD, same thing in Revit. So always check a manufacturer, and in my opinion, when I'm starting a project, if I have an idea of a booth, what I would do is set up a series of manufacturers I know I want to work with, or research some. And Contract Design Magazine, I think we have a couple issues of that here. I can bring in more. It has hospitality as well. Go through and find those vendors, then look at what they have, and then tailor that to my design, because that's what's current and happening now and available to me, instead of trying to get too crazy. Now yours is a really niche market and it's going to take a little bit of modifying anyway, but you might find, like you saw with Carson's Hospitality, now I don't know if they have CAD blocks because they're a little bit different, but they will have the dimensions for you to draw things for your plans, and or at least check the things that you have within your plans and see if they're accurate. Nope. But tons of digital stuff available for you guys. All right, I'm going to minimize that. And really, this is the only lecture stuff that I wanted to go over. I know we're both at different points in our projects, so we can go ahead and review your stuff, Katie, and then Sue can critique it through an online discussion board that I will create. And then if you can do the same thing for Sue's work, I think that we'll be able, she was having some trouble. 1 second. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute. Check my mail. She said she was struggling to get her bubble diagram and block plan images uploaded to session 2, and she's still working on it. The other documents have been uploaded. So I will go ahead and try to pull up the other documents, probably her concepts, and we'll see if she was able to get everything else. In which case, we'll just critique what she has online, and then you can read your critique through the discussion board. All right. Share my screen again. So if I go into the grade center, did you upload your stuff, Katie? I know you gave me your concept via email.
Oh, you know what? I can look real quick. I
Okay.
don't know if I even thought about doing it to Blackboard.
Okay. Was that all you needed, was what you emailed me?
What do you mean?
Just like, did you want to just review and critique today the updated client profile and concept statement a little bit and then some of the drawings? Or were you going to show them on your screen or anything that you're going to show today?
Well, I have a couple questions for you, and
Okay.
then yeah, I have the one a revamped upstairs, like the cigar lounge and storage area that I wanted to talk to you about.
Okay.
I wanted to show you, so yes, I would like to show my screen at least for that.
Okay.
But as far as this week, I did not. I know that I didn't put anything on Blackboard. I didn't submit anything.
Okay.
What should I?
No, that's okay because I think you did it earlier. You know, you had already done the 2 and 3 critique.
Okay.
So you should
Okay.
be fine as far as having some place for me to document what you've done. I just didn't
Okay.
know if you had any other things that you wanted to send beside that and how we would be sharing them. So I'll pull this up and then I'll also pull up your concept statement. And I did read one of these and had some comments on it. The concept statement I didn't reread yet. But client profile. Okay. Mm. All right. I'm going to read this really fast and then I can tell you my comments right as I read them because they were really simple things. So as long as I read it out loud real quick, I'll be able to identify them. So Garrett Smith is an up-and-coming beer connoisseur. His dream is to open a brewery and restaurant in Indianapolis area. So that was one, in the Indianapolis area. His love and passion for politics is the driving force behind the design of his brewery and restaurant. Exterior spaces, functionality, mystery, and corruption are important aspects. The design needs to incorporate aspects of the agency's secret society in a mysterious, inconspicuous way. That was all fine except for the word the. The Iron Triangle Brewing Agency will feature an outdoor patio with a stage and bar, an interior dining room, kitchen, stage, and bar with a Shark Tank back bar looking into the brewery. So this is very convoluted. It's just too much in one sentence. So if somehow you could break it up into multiple sentences, defining each of those spaces instead of trying to get in everything that's going to the building, that'll fix that. Like the upstairs being broken off worked fine. The upstairs will have a mezzanine with managerial offices and a private secret VIP cigar lounge with a small bar. The agency's logo will be discreetly displayed along with the triangle shape, the letter T, and the number 74 in accordance with secret societies symbols. And I think it's possessive societies. The Iron Triangle Brewing Agency purchased a commercial building in North Indianapolis. The building is right on the Cultural Trail and has an amazing view of downtown Indy from what will be the rooftop patio. Was this always in here or did you add this? Right on the Cultural Trail.
That was always in there.
Oh, I really like that, but I don't remember it from the first time I was revising it. There are 4 different sections of the building with varying heights. The 2 farthest west areas have flat industrial roofs. Yep, like that. The southwest section will be recreated to accommodate the rooftop patio, and the northeast corner section is a total of 3 stories. Is the main entrance to the building and has a mansard roof. The final portion of the building, which is directly south of the main entrance, is a gable roof of 28 feet. The square footage, dot, dot, dot. I know there was one thing, and it
Well,
was
that's why that's highlighted. I still need to change that. I haven't exactly figured out how I wanted to word that. So all of that kind of still needs to be changed.
the 2 farthest west areas have flat industrial roofs, with the south being 15 feet and the north section being 24 feet. The southwest section will be recreated. Oh, this is what it was. One of the other things I found. Uh, I'd say renovated to accommodate the rooftop patio instead of recreated.
Okay.
But then, yeah, if you rework this to have the directions like we were talking about and
Mhm.
kind of limiting that down, then other than that, I thought overall it was well done and fine. So let's see. Where did the other document pop up at? Aha. Okay. So then you highlighted this area again as something you haven't, oh yeah, you said you weren't going to do that until you made your selection, so that's fine, I understand that. I will design a brewery and restaurant that will convey the dark, mysterious aspects of our government, secret societies, corrupt historical background, and traditional historical architecture will define the space. Dark finishes, rough textures, and low-defining accent lighting will create a feel of mystery and secrecy. Gary is very concerned with the environment and wants the brewery to be a leader in sustainability. I would say interesting. It's like personifying the brewery, so the brewery is the leader, but maybe it's that he wants to be a leader in sustainability through his brewery somehow. I don't know. It's not, that might just be a preference thing. It's not bad how it's worded necessarily. He wants it to be an example for all other breweries to lessen the footprints and impacts on the environment. So I like this. So is very concerned with the environment and wants his business to be because I feel like this does a really good job of saying exactly what this is kind of saying.
I could just reword it and combine both of those.
Yeah, but I
Both
really
those.
like this. An example for all their rooms to lessen the footprints and impacts of the environment. Historical American features. I like that you put it at the top though, and you help to break up and put sustainability from the beginning to the end. Historical American features and architecture will define the restaurant and patio. Columns, brick veneers, accents, wood plank floors, and wood paneled walls give the space an old New England style. Accent lighting will give the historical a dramatic effect, will give the space a dark, intimate, and mysterious look. Accent lighting will give the historical,
Oh,
so
that's weird.
yeah, will give
One.
maybe a historical effect and dramatic effect will give, yeah, that's just weird. That's one of those
Yeah, I
weird.
don't know what I was. I know I was at work while I was doing this. I wonder if like the phone rang and I had to go grab it, or because that is not a complete thought at all.
Well, there you go.
Alrighty.
Well, fix that sentence. I'll just leave it at
I'm taking notes, so it's okay.
that. Okay. The secret society's letter T and the number 74 will also have importance and will be inconspicuously integrated within the space. Fine with that. Um, Give a specific type. Yep. Rich stone. Da, da. Hard rough dark woods will be accented in the other furnishings and moldings. Hard rough dark woods will be accented in the other furnishings and moldings. I'd almost say the other furnishings will have hard rough dark wood
Yeah.
accents.
Okay.
Gold and light tan accessories and lighting fixtures will draw gold and light tan accessories and lighting fixtures will draw the eye around the space and create intimate areas of dining and entertainment. The Iron Triangle Brewery Agency will focus on sustainability through all aspects of the restaurant and brewery, from finishes to products to processing and brewing. This company will make as small of an eco-footprint as possible. An emphasis will be put on function of spaces, products, and processes that will take place so that there will be little to no waste. I feel like this is, because of how it's worded, it leaves me wondering what type of emphasis again. You know what I mean? And I feel like by switching the wording, you could say an emphasis on little to no waste will be put on the function of spaces, products, and processes. And that way you're saying what the emphasis is and how and what it's applying to, instead of saying this kind of out there existing emphasis that I don't know will be put to create little to no waste. Does that make sense? It's hard to
Yeah.
critique these things. Okay. Appliances. I think it's, for me, this is my Monday, and it really feels like a Monday today. Appliances, fixtures, finishings, and furnishings will be sustainable and environmentally friendly. Iron Triangle Brewery Agency will be a leader in sustainable design. The processes of which the beer is brewed and processed, you're missing something, will blank the main priority to attain a sustainable level. So the processes of which the beer is brewed and processed will be the main priority to attain a sustainable level. Water conservation, waste management, power consumption, and reusing or diverting waste will all be aspects that will be completely environmentally friendly. So let's see. Water conservation, waste management, power consumption, and reusing or diverting waste. So isn't this, what's the difference between reusing or diverting waste versus waste management?
I don't know.
So,
Probably just take waste management out of there.
yeah, all right, that would be fine. Yeah, just get rid of one or the other. And will be aspects that will be. So I feel like this is a little redundant, just the will all be aspects that will be, the fact that there's the two wills twice. So just get rid of part of that and say will be environmentally friendly aspects
Okay.
or something. Special equipment will be selected that is sustainable and will maintain a sustainable brewing process. All selections will be made with the environment in mind. The restaurant and kitchen will have all the same sustainable aspects as the brewery does. Local farms and retailers will be utilized to promote local community and economy. So again, just watch the double wording, the local
Okay.
to support local. Major sustainable processes and selections will have a global effect, and the Iron Triangle Brewing Company will be a leader for all breweries. So I see what you're doing there because you're restating what's at the beginning paragraph. Major sustainable processes and selections will have a global effect. And how about we say making the Iron Triangle Brewing Company a leader
Okay.
among breweries. All right.
Yes.
Okay. So moving on from those two documents, I'm going to go ahead and you show me, do you want me to share my screen and make you in charge of yours so I can see yours?
Yes, please.
All right. You are now the presenter.
Okay. Okay, so I kept the other two that we had talked about, but this is the one that I kind of redid for that space.
Okay.
Um, I moved this bathroom over a little bit, and then I kind of just like redid this whole thing. So this would be the entry to the storage area, and then this is the whole like cigar lounge. So then there's the small bathroom,
Mm-hmm.
the storage area for the cigar lounge, and then down here is the actual like cigar lounge.
Gotcha.
I really wanted to, like I said, keep this whole wall because of the windows and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I liked this wall like that, but if you think it's like a waste of space, I could always just move it out and just square it off too. Um, but
I
this,
guess the only thing that makes me feel as though it would work within your situation is that it's the Triangle
uh-huh,
Brewing Company. So you could somehow tie that in, and if you use flooring correctly or the arrangement within that triangular space of your furniture to play up that concept of the triangle being very purposeful, then it might not be an issue, but you'd have to do a good job of that. So I'm
yeah,
not against it necessarily. Although I have
okay.
worked with triangular buildings and they drive me up the wall. So uh, all right.
I think it would just be this like this space.
Okay.
So then that way, like this area could have the door for the fire escape.
Mm-hmm.
Um, could just be installed right in here and then go down out onto that. Um, so that will take out the egress issue with the cigar lounge being all the way over here.
Okay. And then let's see. I know I'll just have to know when you're thinking about the egress. So according to our book, you would start from the lowest part on the right of that triangle.
Uh-huh.
I'm assuming there'll be some seating within that area or wherever you're, but really that could be the point that the person is farthest back in that room. For some reason, they're facing the corner in the back. So they need to escape from there, and that's where you start measuring your footage. So
Uh-huh.
if you could show me a diagram of just some measurements going from that corner up to the main pathway, from the pathway to the door, and from the door to the elevator, and then we could check those, and if you would check them on your end to make sure that it meets the requirement. Now I'm assuming it's going to be sprinklered, so
Yeah.
you would want to look at the sprinkler distance, which I think is possibly 300 feet.
So you're saying I would need to measure from this bottom
Yeah.
corner, not only just out here,
You
I
would,
would also need to do this way?
so you would go, yep, just like that.
Okay.
So just that
Okay.
plan as if you're starting in the back and going around. And once you have your
Okay.
tables in there, then you'd want to leave some type of path, if there is a table back there, that goes straight through all of the tables and then out through that path and then down to the elevator.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, it looks like 300 feet with sprinklers. And that even, they have kind of a corridor. I'm trying to think of, it's not technically a hallway because there's no door access to get into the cigar lounge, but it is a long, straight path. So I guess just complete those measurements for me, and then I'll review that, and you also review it, and then we'll compare. So you'd want
Okay.
to look at that 29 through 33, the pages for the egress.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I like this solution. I like that the bathrooms are by each other, and even I know that that's fine. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, you're fine with that because it can't be a dead-end hallway of more than, I think, 20 feet, but you're going to get to your door before you get to the actual dead end. So you'll be fine with that. Wouldn't have to change it. I like the idea that obviously there's added secrecy because of that long hallway, and you could do some cool stuff with that. But then the storage is where they initially go first, I assume, if they're picking up their cigars or their wine anyway before they walk into the cigar lounge. So it's nice that it's not impeding any of the traffic within the actual space. So, oh, this is a good option. Now it's just
Cool.
figuring out if it meets your egress requirement all around.
Okay.
Okay, what else you got for me?
Um, I guess my other questions. So yesterday I really, really worked on my selections.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just a couple of them. Now it may change because I liked some of the stuff that you showed on the Carson's Hospitality.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess my question would be, um, a lot of like this facility concept is not only local to Indianapolis, but it's also super sustainable and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't know if I should put like the aspects of the company itself in like this individual, like in this selection, or what I've been doing is that I've been adding like little notes and stuff to my bibliography. So I have all of these sustainable, like the furniture, um, like for the facility concepts. I have, made in the USA, located in the Midwest, sustainable, recyclable, like all of that. Should I add more specific, like, like that all of their furniture is like assists with the lead, green guard? Should I add all of that to here?
I would, yeah, just add it to the notes within your bibliography unless it's fabric specific and you have that area or column for fabrics, and then you could say I'm applying a fabric that also has these qualities.
Okay. So okay, because that's going to be my next step is that I
Okay.
already have a couple, um, like, I think I have like two leather suppliers
Mm-hmm.
that get their leather from like the food market.
Mm-hmm.
So that is creating like no waste. And should I put that because I'm gonna obviously make a different table like this just for finishes?
Mm-hmm.
Should I enter that in like that finish area, or should I also enter that into just the like the finishings bibliography?
For the leather specifically.
Yeah, or
Are
like
you
carpet or whatever.
are you using, so let's see, is everything going to be leather?
No, probably not. I just know that like I want that for my booth seating.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Probably like the fabric that will be like out on the patio or um, on some like bar seating, and maybe just like the chairs will probably just be a fabric.
Okay. Um, I guess, can you go back to your specification sheets for me?
And I started it. I don't think I have anything in there yet. So it's ultimately the same thing. I
Mm-hmm.
just don't have anything in there. I could definitely probably like maybe just put like make the description into like the sustainable aspect of it
Mm-hmm.
and enter that right on with the picture and everything of the fabric.
Yeah, I wouldn't make it too lengthy. If you were just in your description to say lead green guard, I don't think you have to give a lot of background information. I think those
Okay.
words in themselves will be enough information.
Okay.
And or low VOC or water resistant, just little buzzwords that will help them understand that you have checked for those qualities.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I would go ahead and put that within your finishes. And then
Okay.
as far as the leather, um, I feel like go back to a chair, a picture of a chair, one of those selections. So for instance, under finish and fabric, you could say like fair market leather. You know what I mean? Something that you're again using a word or descriptor where it doesn't have to be paragraph of information in there, but it describes it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I was just going through and I really like this company, but I was like, if I put that in this, like in this selection,
Hmm.
I was like, I'm just going to be repeating it over and over and over
Yeah,
again.
that's why
So I
it's
just
good
put
just
it
to find like
in
a
my
little
video.
descriptor and then within your presentation you can have a little blurb on that.
Okay. Okay. Um, and then let me see. I think my only other question would be, I'm doing pretty good on my own, like finding all of these selections and like outdoor furniture and all of that kind of stuff. Um, my question is, um, beside, did you say that Lumiere had lighting?
Yeah. Well, yours is very traditional. But I am
Yeah,
very contemporary by nature, but what kind of lighting are you looking for? Chandeliers? Are you looking for um, ambience lighting or
yeah. I mean, I'll need all of it.
okay.
Um, I would like to have pendant over. Let me see here. Um, yeah, I would like to just include, even if I just put it in my schedule, just like some kind of outdoor lighting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I'll need like bathroom lighting, probably lamps and stuff for this lounge area,
Mm-hmm.
pendant lighting over the booths.
Okay.
Yeah, and then like ambient, I kind of want to put like a big chandelier kind of in the stairwell
Mm-hmm.
or just something fun.
For your
Yeah, we need a lot
overall
of different.
lighting for those big expansive areas, well, it really will depend on your ceiling, if it's drywall or if it's a lay-in tile or what you're planning on doing. I guess yesterday I worked with Caroline on a different project, and I would look more at an agency. For example, locally, I recommended Dave Baker Agency's website or a Wabash Lighting because they are just like the FF&E side for furniture. They're lighting contractors, so they have they have everything. And then it links you to a bunch of different websites, so it's a good library of information that you can use to get to all of those other places that you're looking for.
Okay.
I can
And you said Wabash lighting, and what was the other one?
Dave Baker Agency. And if you type, like, if you're looking for his website, type that into Google and say South Bend and it should come up, the website.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So other than that, the upstairs looks a lot better. Mm-hmm. Yeah, eventually then it'll just be the fun task of laying out that triangular area. And what do you envision, although it's one of those spaces again like the lounge area outside of the cigar lounge where you're not going to talk about it a whole lot, but what do you envision for that hallway leading to the
This
cigar
hallway?
lounge? Mm-hmm.
Oops. This hallway. Um, I thought about just like maybe just like hanging pictures of like
Presidents.
yeah, like presidents or um like like Freemason figures or
Yeah.
like yeah, just like other secret society leaders or like really impactful leaders. Or I thought about, depending on like how much seating and stuff I could put in here. I mean, I could still do that, but maybe just opening this up a little bit more and
Mm-hmm.
maybe just putting like, just a couple, like maybe some chairs or maybe a couple seating arrangements in there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Even if it's just like a cocktail table or something, just depending on how much I can put in here. But yeah, definitely probably just putting like um, big chunky frames with like secret society leaders or influential secret society people or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. Can I see on your first floor, I'm assuming the furniture you put in, then if you hit 3D, then it'll already show us basically what your lower level seating area will look like with the booths, or is it that it's just 2D blocks and it's not an actual
Oh no, it's 3D. What did you want to see?
up there in the upper left, kind of where the 3 tables are and then all the booth seating.
Here's
Yeah.
maybe.
Interesting.
Yeah, so and my computer is going super slow. Oh my goodness.
I was going to say if this was SketchUp, it would have crashed a long time ago. Looking.
Um, so I guess I can show you, I did not, oh my goodness, I did not originally have um, walls here.
Yeah.
This one, and then this one, but you pointed it out, so I added it. Um, so those will definitely be something, but
Hmm.
what are you thinking?
I'm just thinking, in one of your earlier design inspiration photos, did you have an example that was similar to that Arcadia, the more contemporary booth where it arched over the 2 booths and instead of being an architectural wall, it was a fabric wall or a furniture wall? Am I remembering that correctly?
Um, no, I mean, I can bring it up real quick.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Mhm. Okay, so there it is, the
I think,
architectural wall. I think it'll just all come down to the details. For instance, right now it just feels, and I know we're nowhere near this point, but modifying your chief architect so that it has enough visual interest in that area with the
um,
dropping of the ceiling and everything as they're showing it. Um, Not copying that necessarily, but you could if you wanted to because it's a nice concept. But just the wall to the ceiling at that height is so expansive. It looks like it
yeah,
goes up on the inside and they created a lighting feature inside.
yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely thinking about what I could do with the ceiling. The only problem is that I'm not exactly sure how much time it will take me to do it in Chief Architect.
Yeah.
So I may just really have to work on that and just make that a priority. But yeah, that's why I really want to get my finishes kind of figured out so that once I figure out what I'm actually going to show in Chief, then I can just really focus on like though what is included in that view,
Mhm.
um, and really just work on that.
Mhm. Are you, I always ask these questions of people, are you very good with hand rendering at all? Not that you would ever do it all from scratch, but where you could print this off and then draw in those features by just adding the rectangles in perspective and kind of guesstimating where you would lower your ceiling and add those details? Or,
I may. Um, I know that I've printed off like line drawings in Chief Architect before,
Mhm.
to where they're all just lines, and I go in and like render it by hand. So that's a possibility. Um, I just,
I just know that this is the point where most students get the most time wasted is spending it in these rendering programs and
uh,
trying to jerry-rig something to work with the ceiling and you'll spend just a day or 2 days trying to figure out that booth area alone. So
yeah,
if it could be faster for printing it out, but that's all about artistic ability or if you feel comfortable with that. That could take just as long for some individuals. So
yeah. I mean, if I could find a way, I think to have like the majority of the portion like already rendered,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe just leave this. I don't know. I'll have to look. I'll have to see.
Yeah.
I'll just have to think about it.
And I wouldn't do like this is a good size of an area for an elevation instead of trying to do the entire dining area.
Yeah.
Like just focusing on the view of this, I would think would be
Yeah, and
better
then
than
maybe like
everything.
I could include at least, a part of my stairs maybe,
Yeah,
or
stairs would be an
something if I wanted to,
mm-hmm.
because I think I'm going to do an architectural detail of the stairs.
Okay.
Figure something out really cool to do with that, and then try to design them
You want
in
to
a
make sure you
decent.
figure out that railing right there in, in front of the stair. Otherwise, people fall right off the edge.
Oh yeah,
Such a dangerous landing right there.
I've I've tried and I've tried to do that. What it is it's like it's this right here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I cannot for the life of me get that to have a railing. Like that, this is railing.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's not. I have put railing in here, but it goes to the, like, oh my goodness. It goes to the floor instead of,
Weird.
like,
And
on top of,
you can't choose the base height or the end points to place it within the
I can, but it still automatically goes, like, to the, like, it's so silly.
hmm.
It's so silly. So instead of, like, when I draw it in floor plan view, instead of going up here, it goes, like, underneath,
Yeah.
and it goes down here, and I can't,
What about that railing on the side there to the right of the stair?
oh,
Yeah.
this
Did
might
you
be
place that?
problematic. Oh, I don't
It
know.
looks like a different one than would come in with the stairs. So it looks like that worked out for you and it's on the same plane as the other one if you could copy it,
Yeah,
rotate it.
maybe I could just move that. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
just try to move that over here. The problem is I don't see it over here.
I know. It doesn't actually exist in the drawing.
No.
That's very strange.
Yeah. Yeah, like decks and thing and stairs and uh, that kind of stuff in Chief Architect is really touchy. It's really, really touchy. So um,
Are you
I
showing
may try to work on it. I may just leave it out and just show like this chunk.
So how easy is it then to change an attribute of a chair? Do you just, right now it's being shown in like a cherry, and then if you want to change it to be an espresso kind of finish, would you just select the chair and it'll change all of them at once?
Yeah. No.
No?
Well, not right now. I have them as block plans. I have them just all as one. Um, but if I wanted to change each individual chair,
Uh-huh.
well, I would have to change each individual chair.
Well,
But once I change one, I can, like, it's super easy just to do one, get one exactly how you like it, and then just copy and paste it
like
onto the
four of
others.
them. Yeah, delete the
Yeah.
other ones.
But it won't automatically change all of the chairs in the space
Interesting.
to match the one.
We should write Chief Architect a letter and tell them that they're way behind the times and they need to have
I really can't wait to once this is done, I'm really gonna like, well, I'm gonna go through because I'm gonna lose all of my, like, I'm gonna lose chief architect. I'm gonna lose all of that because I'm not a student anymore.
mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go through and like do PDFs and stuff, just of my projects and make sure that what I want to feature
Mm-hmm.
or what I want to have access to is still, I'll still be able to do that. But then I'm really going to start on SketchUp,
Yeah.
and I really want to learn how to manipulate that. So um, I'm really excited to learn that.
Well, SketchUp is the website for SketchUp. They have every help video you would ever need to learn SketchUp.
Cool.
Really, you can teach yourself quite easily.
Yeah.
But this is cool. At least it'll give you a good jump start.
Yeah.
All right,
Yep.
any other questions?
Um, I don't think so. Um, I don't think so. Um, I really don't think so.
Okay.
I just do the site plan, measure that egress. I need to look up the stuff for the kitchen. Yeah. Nope, I think I'm good.
Okay. And you moved your furniture around a little bit or haven't done that
I
yet?
did.
Okay.
I did.
Because I think I saw like the tables were moved below and
Yeah, so I moved all of these to better suit the space. I moved these around a little bit.
mm-hmm.
Um, and then does that look better for you? Measurement-wise, they're all out. They're all relatively, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's a little bit more consistent.
okay.
Let's see.
Okay.
Bring.
Space-wise, they're all pretty good.
Okay. All right. I trust you.
Okay. Yeah, other than that, I think that's it.
Okay, well, what are you thinking timeline-wise? So your next step, let's think about what your next step is. If you're finalizing your floor plan, so for this week, you'll be working on continuing your finishes, binder, and your selections, and basically everything. So as long as we review each week in a critique format like this that Sue is able to comment on it, I think it's fine if we're all at different stages. Right now, again, I don't want to say ahead, but you're far enough ahead that you're not catching up to the stuff I'm worried about, so I have nothing to bring up, such as where's your mechanical plan, why haven't I seen your reflected ceiling plan yet? But just know that those things are in the future, and while it's so easy at the beginning or slow paced at the beginning, towards the end it amps up because of all of our conceptual being towards the beginning, and it will be a lot. So if you can, now that you've had out the okay on everything except for that cigar lounge area, get your reflected ceiling plan or your mechanical plan. You're going to want to do it as soon as possible because those will
Oh,
creep up at
sure.
the end and it'll be two of those things at once.
Oh, sure.
But I don't know, is that easy to do in Chief, reflected ceiling plans?
Um,
I've seen it, let's see, for kitchen and bath it's so basic, so I've never seen someone need to take more than a couple days on it because it's can lighting, but
yeah, here, yeah, it's pretty easy. I mean, they have, yeah, what I like to do, which will probably hopefully not completely crash my program, is I just like to copy, like I can copy like this whole space, kind of like I did what I did up here.
mm-hmm,
I'll just copy both the first and the second floor plan, put those over here,
mm-hmm,
or somewhere else, get rid of like all the furniture, whatever else, and then just have like the lighting. But there's not like a specific button that I can say, mechanical. I have to put all of that in,
mm-hmm.
um, which is obvious. But lighting too, I would have to put all that in. But it's pretty. I mean, it's pretty easy. Um, it's just a matter of doing it.
Okay, man, I just can't imagine. It seems like Chief is relatively easy from what Caroline and other students have told me and seeing it be used, but I just don't like that I can't get the precision that I can with AutoCAD for documents such as the power and communication plan or the reflected sailing plan. And their switches and everything come in really ginormous, and that drives me crazy too. The outlets are huge, but I think that's a preference thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
like the power and the communication, I've never done one of those before.
Mm,
Um,
really?
so that I may need help with.
All right. That's interesting. How did you sneak by and never have to do that?
I don't know. I don't know what other class I would have had to do it on.
I know Cheryl had the boathouse. Students do it for the boathouse. Um,
This past semester?
yeah, and I know that when I was doing it, we did it for even a lower level course than that, but it was hand drafted. So it might, I
Okay,
call it
so,
a
well,
mechanical plan. It might have been called something different, but
okay. So then if it's, so what does it include then, the power and communication?
Mhm.
Is it just like
Data,
outlets?
outlets, switches. Nothing on your ceiling, unless there's a plug for any reason that's associated with your ceiling. So it would be like the data, the outlets, and the switches. And then the switching
Okay, so then
lines
I've
for
done
your
that before.
switches. So then you could show how you will show how you are controlling your lighting with your switches, like a switching plan. But we can talk about that closer. So I'm sure you've done it before. It just might have been presented differently.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, then I shouldn't have too much trouble with that. I've done that before, so.
Okay. But sure, if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask them. And then I will most
Of
likely
course.
review all of those things because we have enough lecture time to last forever. So I will throw in a bunch of review stuff in the process. All right.
Okay.
Well, do you want to do a Thursday meeting at all? Or you think you're good for this week?
Um, I guess I'll just let you know.
Okay.
It probably just depends on what I get done today and tomorrow.
Okay. I have a student meeting from 1 to, it probably won't run till this long, but I'm going to stay till 2, and then one from 2:15 to 3:15. So it would have to be earlier in the day, just so you know. But go ahead and email me
Okay.
or
Yeah, I'll probably just email you or text you if I want to because my break is in between 2 and 4, so that may not even
work for you.
work, which is
Gotcha.
fine.
Yeah, you can
Um,
always just email me the questions as well, and I can respond that way.
okay. Okay. That'll work.
All right. Well, in that case, I'm going to dismiss you, and then I will try to check on that egress layout for you on my side, and you check it too, and then we'll reconvene on that.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
Okay. Um, can I just
Mhm.
well, egress, I have to check first. Never mind. Okay.
All right. Well, have a nice rest of your day, Katie.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.